Welcome to Myofascial Magic in Action podcast, and me, Joanne, and my very dear friend, colleague, co-founder of Myofascial Magic in Action, Mr. Paul Thornley. How are you doing, Paul?
Hello, Joanne. Very, very good. How are you doing?
I'm great. And I loved our conversation that we wanted to share with our listeners about a lot of questions that we've been getting via YouTube and via the podcast and from our clients, right? About the relationship between working with the fascia and emotion, or pain and stiffness and difficulty being related to crystallized issues in the tissue of emotional difficulties. And I think, well, I call it bioemotional intelligence because basically we are vessels of energy in motion. And the fascia is the interface for me of the spirit animating that tissue. So given that it's a liquid crystal matrix, would there be crystals in the tissue that have crystallized a bit more than we want them to? And are we unraveling them when we do myofascial release or when we do micro movement and so on? So we're going to unpack all that. So first of all, how do you think emotion gets trapped in the tissue, Paul? Or does it?
Well, because we have investigated what is fascia and why the pattern of it really reflects our personality and our joy of movement or our restriction from it or limitation to it.
Yeah.
And we understand what it's made of, we understand the ingredients, and we have the time frame of how they respond. I think most people won't know any of that. But what they will be very familiar with is how they feel in certain environments instinctively, or how they respond to people's tone, or the way they're spoke to, or the way they have to react to a certain situation. So if something is joyful, you feel really good. Your body feels very nutritiously vibrant. You feel excited. You feel welcoming and welcome. And then you lose your inhibitions when you're talking, and you don't feel foolish when you trip over your words or you forget what you're talking about. And it's a very light-hearted environment to be within. The flip side of that, if you're with somebody that just irritates you, or you're in a situation as simple as going to the doctor or paying a bill at the local shop, and it's for whatever reason you feel uncomfortable, your body naturally responds in a different way. And you become stiffer. It doesn't feel very vibrant at all. It's certainly not very welcoming, and you're not very comfortable. And likewise, you'll feel it in the sensation of your movement and skin. That's why when you are fearful or you're feeling cautious and you feel the hair stand up on the back of your neck, or you get that gut reaction to something where you instinctively and intuitively go, whoa, I don't like this at all. If you watch a certain movie or you're in a certain room.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we know that the body is responding to all of those influences, whether they are personal, environmental, emotional, or physical. And it does it in an instant, within the blink of an eye. If you find yourself in those situations, one or the other, or somewhere in between, and one type of environment dominates your life, that you find yourself always in places where it's anxious and anxiety rules the day, your performance will suffer because of it. Likewise, if you find yourself in a position where you feel very welcome and you're very comfortable, you're likely to perform at a very different quality. Now, not to say one person's environment is the enemy of somebody else's, because everybody has a very unique way of performing. Some people need high stress. Some people need absolute silence to perform, and white noise can really drive them crazy. I have clients that wear noise cancelling when they go to the mall because they can't tolerate the amount of excessive noise around them, and it really disturbs the way they think and feel. And other people love the chatter. They love to natter, 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 natter. So it's very important that we understand that these influences are occurring every single moment of every day, but we can really play a role in choosing how they influence us.
Can we also play a role in making sure that we pause and give ourselves time for the opposite environment? Like, for example, even if you love them all, where it's all busy, 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 that just for balance's sake, that we also get to go for a walk where it's quieter, or sit quietly breathing, giving ourselves that, I don't know what, that counterbalance.
Well, isn't that right? That is like self-medication and that's self-treating. You
Yes.
first have to recognize that something is having a repetitively negative influence on your well-being, and find a more positive environment that makes that subside away, and you get a much more rechargeable energy by going somewhere that is the reverse to what's having this negative impact. And if that happens to be going for a walk, or it happens to be going to a music gig, either end of the spectrum, whatever revitalizes you, you should do them frequently. And some people need to go and do a very hard workout. Other people need to do a meditative process. Whatever is your mojo, whatever really does reboost you, that you should have that as part of your week. It should be something to look forward to. Or you start recognizing that you keep putting yourself into these situations, whether it's environmental or there's certain elements of people that keep repeating this same characteristic that creates this innate response from you. And if it's repeated and negative, and that's quite a harsh thing to do, but sometimes a really valuable thing to do is to assess your life choices, be it work, personalities, personal pleasures, activities, and look at them and those relationships and go, why am I in them? Why am I letting them influence me in such a way that I don't feel good? That I'm not looking forward to being there or with them or doing that. And then make better choices, which you are looking forward to, that you do thrive when you're there, that you are benefiting from, and you're growing as a person, and you're more valuable in that environment because you perform and behave with the way that you really want to be perceived and enjoy.
I think that's a superpower, because what I think you're saying is, it's almost as if, I know I'm a glutton for punishment. Like when I'm writing, I've got to go to my desk and sit and write. And I've actually had to make myself leave that sat curled up in a ball at the desk and make myself use a ball so I'm micro moving while I'm doing it, and get up. And it's basically repetitive strain injury, but it's physical as well as emotional, that I get into this sort of fog where I'm totally lost in my writing. And I go round and round and round in loops.
Well, exactly. And again, it's the merry-go-round of life, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like once you're on it and you found your position amongst the merry-go-round, it's very hard to remove yourself from it and watch it go by, because you feel you must play your role in your day a certain way so it accommodates everybody else's expectation of how you should be. And then you have that within your wider family. Who doesn't that when they go home and there's a big family? And all of a sudden, time stops still around a certain age where everybody expects everybody to behave the way they were in one phase of history. And we're all 20 or 30 years beyond that, but we're still expected to fit into those roles like we did when we were children. And it's this recognition of almost like we've created these patterns of expectation rather than expectations of creating a new pattern and having the ability to always adapt to life, because life is fun. It's the only one we have. And when it comes to movement and exercise, or being healthy and vibrant, or managing illnesses and sicknesses, it's important we understand how we are our own, if you like, therapist, and we have our own medical team within our own self, because your body just wants to self-heal. And if we can recognize the things we're doing are often the very things that are creating the environment and particular outcomes we have to deal with, and we can recognize that first, the less we require a third party to take over our life and manage it for us. We may need extra help, and it's nice to have the medical and healthcare world to be there to go and get advice from, get medicine from, get further specialist attention. But really, we are our best source of health.
How do we use micro movement medicine? Because that's what you and I call it, because that's what it is. How do we bring this? It's like seasoning it with the in-between, right? It's this lovely, subtle approach that you're not saying don't perform at your extreme if you're a ballet dancer or you're a boxer or you're a professional runner or whatever it is that you do, or simply a movement teacher who's quite, it's demanding to be a movement teacher. You've got to be on your A game with all your clients all the time, and you've got to raise their game. It's quite a thing to do. But how do we, I know how I feed myself. I know that if I get up earlier and I use that extra 20 minutes for micro movement, I have a better day, period.
Cool.
If I do nothing else all day.
You found your
Exactly.
dosage, right? You found your cup of coffee. And if that coffee is replaced
I
by
need
the
back to
micro movements, you found
lunch.
the elixir that's going to really be the thing that kickstarts your day off to the very best start it can be.
Well, I find it's not just that. I've got to do it at least twice during the day, because one of the things that I've learned from you is that it's not a performance once a day. It's a
Oh,
micro performance several times a day. I literally press pause and breathe deeper. And then I do a little bit of rebound, recoil, whichever feels right for me. And it just copes with the ultradian rhythms, those 90-minute cycles that our body's going through, whether we know it or not.
micro movements are the secret ingredient that is missing from the vast majority of people's existence. Because most people think exercise only happens within a facility that they go to. But the way their body is moving 100% every second of every day is life's exercise. And that's why when you look at nature, nature does things on purpose. It performs at a certain rate and a certain intensity on purpose throughout phasic times of the day and night. And we've removed ourselves from it, so we don't realize that our lifestyle is our reflection of quality of movement that exists throughout the whole of our life. Not only these periodic places we attend occasionally throughout the week, and that then is a barometer of whether we're healthy or not.
So when it comes to emotion, and I want to just go back to how we started, because we were talking about a couple of clients that we both had, you in Dubai and me in the
Yeah.
UK, where they sort of come in and discover not that anything we do is psychotherapeutic in nature. We're not pretending that for a moment, but we both take history quite carefully with every client,
Yeah.
every session. And sometimes there is an emotional quality to what they tell us that is almost a sticking point. And then through working with the tissue, that releases, in inverted commas. I say that term very carefully because we all mean different things by it, right?
Sure.
But there's somehow let's say if fascia is a liquid crystal matrix, let's say that is a sticking point somewhere in the tissue. I mean, where else is it going to go? It's got to go in the body somewhere, right? And if, as we both believe fascia is the interface of spirit animating our form, and there's like an emotional issue that might have come from childhood.
Yes. Could be there
It could have come from way back.
Yep.
That not that you're coming in to get that broken down and released. I hate this idea. It's this really subtle ability to come in and find this sticking point where the tissue's talking to you right through sensation, and it's unpleasant sensation because it's asking you for attention, and you can go into it physically and assist it really gently, whispering, to reorganize so that the energy flow becomes free throughout the matrix. And then that, I think, resolves into resolution that tissue. Now, I'm not talking about wailing away on the tissue with your elbow. I'm not talking about breathing yourself heavily into exhaustion. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about respect for the fact that something's come up, that the client has mentioned it, that you'll use listening hands to go to the body area or region that it's coming from, that we use our skills to find related areas. And then we restore the flow between those areas and allow that resolution.
We can if we imagine there's a blockage somewhere on the line. It's not performing as it should. So we go in and we clean the line out. And of course, we undo the blockage and the inhibition and what was in the way. And now you have free flowing again. And that's a physical obstruction. Well, then the human body, that's in the story. And that's why we always ask people, what is the story? How did they come and make an appointment with me? Where else have they been before? And why would they go into those facilities in the first place? And often the story is a lot longer than I just picked the phone up yesterday. It's often months or years or decades in a process of accumulating to come to the state where they then go, oh my God, I don't know what to do anymore because I'm overwhelmed. I don't even know when it began anymore. I can't even pinpoint what started this journey, but I know where I've ended up. And it could be just because they have a bad neck, a bad shoulder, a limitation. They could have some gut issues. They could have any manner of things it could be. So asking for the story and giving people a chance to express their story is so important, because being allowed to vent and being allowed to be heard often is the very thing that unblocks the blockage to allow the thing that they're now suffering with to perform better immediately without any
Well, there
interference
are,
with their hand.
and I think that exactly, and I think their power can be in that crystallization, and that when we soften the tissue through clearing that blockage, as it may be, and I can't emphasize enough, we're not pretending to be psychotherapists in any way, just by, as you said so beautifully, they speak it, they language it, they hear themselves say it. I mean, I had a client who said, just to make that point, client who said they had tremendous back pain and they sat at their desk all day, and they decided that sitting at their desk all day was the problem, so they were going to stop writing. Well, this is a very creative person. Going to stop the writing. They're going to stop, which is their career. And they felt desolate.
Yeah.
And I found myself saying, why are you stopping the writing?
Yeah.
And the answer was, well, because that's what's causing the problem. No, it's not. The back pain is horrible. I get it. But that's got nothing to do with the writing. Okay, let me try another question. What if you could sit differently? What if we could become skilled at sitting?
Mm-hmm.
Could you keep the writing and maybe find out that there's something else at stake, that it's the story that maybe we're misattributing the reasons? Yeah. And the curiosity that came up was incredible. And through the story, we worked out that prior to the pain was a big emotional loss in the family. Yep. That involved a year of driving back and forth on a very long journey. You know, me doing my detective story listening thing. And then I was like, have you by any chance got a manual car and it's all on the left side and you use the clutch and you've got a heavy clutch and you know how it goes. And that I can't tell you, Paul, the moment of realization as this person started joining dots.
Yep.
From their narrative, I'm not making anything up, from their narrative, that then meant working with the deep soft tissue of the left pelvic region and the cervical spine, got that flow going, like you said, took maybe the block in the piping and released something that enabled them to join the dots and no longer feel they had to go through the desolation of stopping their career.
Well, they're often burdened by their own story and trying to justify the story or justify the way they express it to other people, so they don't overburden family. They don't overburden a medical institute. They don't overburden another therapist. It's almost like I'll tell you just enough so that you can start touching me and take some of the pain away and give me some relief. But if people slow down a little bit and stop trying to strengthen things that they're assuming are weaker, or stop trying to interfere because they're assuming they've got the right approach, and they just let the person talk, I can't tell you how many times I've never had to touch somebody because they've undone the very thing by expressing the story properly, and I allowed them to speak, and I made sure they were expressing it properly. And why I say that is because often they're like a bottle of champagne. They're so shook up. They don't want to let it out. They know they have to contain it. They'll let out a little bit. They're very tentatively tell you what's going on. But the minute they get permission to express it properly, they pop the cork and it all comes out. The pressure is relieved. It's like the burden is gone. And all of a sudden, you see the joy and the relief in their own body because they've been storing it up so much, as if they have to own this pain, own this discomfort, own this limitation, own this emotional being the way they must maintain it for the rest of their existence. So they're not a burden to anybody else. And now they're like, oh my God, I don't need to. And say, no, you don't need to. Because the more I can understand why you feel this way, the more I can understand how you created this pattern of defensive ownership of being uncomfortable, then the more I can start to decide whether I interfere at all and how I'm going to go about influencing tissue health and tissue organization and tissue integration so that you benefit. And then you start to collaborate better. And the session goes so much nicer. It's less invasive. Like, for instance, I had a lady today, and she has a huge medical history, a huge history that is so confusing now because she's been going on it almost like a sole survivor. of a huge trauma in her own personal issue. And she's asked for every help from every corner of the medical institute. And they're even confused now. They don't know where to send her to find a solution. So they're now avoiding dealing with her because it's too confusing and nobody wants to take responsibility. So they put responsibility on the patient and say, you decide what you want to do. And she's in absolute agony. And she just has a bag of drugs to carry around with her. Like she's shaking them around going, I don't know which ones to take. They've told me the dosage, but this is just avoiding dealing with it. This is just hiding the issue in another pharmaceutical band-aid. And I said to her, we need to get people on your side so they have empathy for what you're doing and that they can play a role to support you while you go through these phasic periods where you're in absolute despair, so you can manage it and that you're able to express it in whatever way that manifests itself, whether it's through verbal, whether it's physical, whether you throw an absolute tantrum. And then we look for a solution where you're not relying on medication to get through the day. You're utilizing it to get to the next phase of finding a permanent solution where you don't require them at all. But right now, people get overwhelmed by the myriad of responsibility that they're taking on to continue without burdening other people. So emotions play a huge role. Otherwise, you'll never find that Goldilocks spot that we talk about, where life is just sweet. Yes, it should be challenging at one end. And yes, it should be lethargic at the other. Yes, you should be fixed at some times. And you should be loosey-goosey at others. But to perform and recover and play a role in your day-to-day life with the people you hang around with and interact and work with, if you're within the Goldilocks zone, it's a much more pleasurable experience for everybody around you and you personally, and you're going to perform like that for an awful lot longer. Because once you're at the extremes, life becomes very difficult and very unpleasant.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And on that note, anybody out there who doesn't know what the Goldilocks zone is, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, look it up. It's when the porridge is just the right temperature, just the right flavor, and just the right amount. So with that said, the doses of micro movement medicine are magical. And we have some lovely practitioners around the world. And if you want more information, please, please, please just click on one of the links underneath this video or in the show notes of this podcast or wherever you need to look. MMIA works. And Paul, love you, thank you, and can't wait for the next episode.
My pleasure. Take care, guys.